I'm going to show you how to make this silk ribbon embroidery marigold flower. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a circle. I'm using a pro marker here because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. It doesn't matter because it won't be seen after we've done all our stitches anyway. This is just a circle that we're going to stitch around. So I've got some 13mm pure white silk embroidery ribbon from craftyattic.com. So I've just made a loop here. I've got a little template here that's 17mm wide, and I'm just folding the ribbon over that. I'm using a pair of mini hair straighteners just to put a little crease in it, and I'm just going to sharpen that crease up now when I've taken the cardboard away. And you can see now that I've got a very nice little petal. If I just pull very slightly on the ribbon, it will curl nicely over. I've got some just normal cotton sewing thread here. I'm just going to put one stitch in the tip of this petal because I want the first row of petals here to lay down against the fabric slightly, and I'm going to stitch through the base of the petal as well, just to hold that so that I don't, on my next stitch, pull it back too far through. So that just secures everything and makes sure that we've got a nice tight result there. So I'm going to bring the embroidery ribbon back through the fabric. With 13mm ribbon, sometimes you need a little pair of pliers just to tug it through your fabric, and that's absolutely fine. So once again, I'm putting the ribbon back down through about 1 millimetre away from where it came up, leaving a little loop, and then using my template to pull it to the right size. Just press it with my little mini straighteners here, remove the cardboard, and then press the crease a bit more firmly. Pull on the ribbon from the underside very slightly until the petal curls over, and then just putting one stitch in the base, maybe a couple of stitches in the base there, and a stitch at the tip as well, just to secure it down to the fabric. I'm doing this on a crazy patchwork project here. You can do silk ribbon embroidery on practically anything. If you use a nice open weave linen, you'll find that life is a lot easier for you, and for a first time project that might be quite a nice idea if you're not battling quite so much with the ribbon. You must use pure silk embroidery ribbon because nothing else will fold small enough for you to be able to pass it through the fabric. So I'm just doing another one of these petals here in exactly the same way. I'm going to work around this circle and do 7 of these petals, all in exactly the same way. So using the template, pressing, then removing the template, pressing that crease even more firmly with the mini straighteners there, and then just pulling the ribbon till it curls and just stitching at the base and at the tip of that petal. I've pulled it through a bit too far there, you can always just tug it back again. So I'm going to work around in a circle and do 7 of these petals. So just continuing there. So I've finished my petals, and I've got 2 different colour yellow pro markers. I'll probably add a third. So I'm just touching this permanent marker pen to the tip of the petal and allowing the silk to draw the dye in. And I'm just now using a different colour and allowing the colours to blend together. The ribbon will do all the work for you. You don't have to do anything much more than touch the ribbon with these pens. So I've got a different colour now, a darker one, and I'm just going to colour the centre of the petal a bit of a darker colour. Or the base of the petal, should I say. So I'm going to repeat that process now with the other petals. I always work in white and then colour my work afterwards, either using permanent marker pens like this, or you can use silk silk ribbon dyes. You can get a product called Satin Silk, and that will work just as beautifully. You can apply that with a brush after you've mixed the colours that you want to mix. So here we go, provided you don't touch your backing fabric with your pen, the ink will just stay in the silk ribbon, it won't go anywhere else. So there, I've coloured these others now. I'm going to do a second row of petals, and I'm going to bring these up in between. So I think this will be 5 petals on this row, maybe 6. So I'm just going to flatten out the ribbon again with my little mini straighteners, because it's been passed through the fabric a few times and we're starting to get a bit creased. So I'm forming these petals in exactly the same way. This one needs a bit of a tug here, I think. There we go. So you'll find that you need to twist and turn this silk until it's behaving itself and doing what you expect it to do. So again, I'm just using the mini straighteners to form a nice crease in this petal. Sharpening it up, now I've removed the template. And these, I'm only going to stitch these petals at the base, so I'm going to pull slightly till it curls. And I'm just going to put a couple of stitches with my cotton thread through the base of that petal, just to secure it and make sure it doesn't get pulled about while I'm trying to do the rest of the petals in this row. So I've got 6 petals now on this row, and I'm just going to, in exactly the same way as I did for the first row, colour these petals with my permanent marker pens. I'm just allowing the dyes to bleed into each other and letting the silk do all of the work where the blending is concerned. The only thing you might need to worry about on this row and the next row is, because it's a double layer of ribbon, you might want to put some pigment on the back as well if it doesn't bleed all the way through. So you can just lift the petal up and just put some yellow pigment on the back of the ribbon if you want to. So I'm now working on the last row of petals. I'm just going to do 4 in this row. So working in exactly the same way as I was before. Starting to get a little bit tight on the back of the flower now, because obviously there's been lots of ribbon passed across the back of this fabric. So you need to make sure that you try and aim your needle between these ribbons somehow, so that you're not pulling the petals that you've already done by pulling the ribbon through them on the back side. So they're just working on my final row of petals. Again, just stitching through at the base of each petal to make sure that they don't get tugged about and distorted. So there I've got my 4 central petals, and I'm just going to colour them again in exactly the same way. I like to colour after I've sewn, because you can colour the petals in a much more subtle and realistic way like this. If you use a flat coloured ribbon, you'll get a very flat result. These pens only blend, the dyes only blend into each other when the dye is wet, so you really only want to work on a couple of petals at a time. So there, I'm just colouring the underside of those as well. So now my flower is, the petals are finished. I've just got some yellow seed beads, and I've mixed 2 different types of yellow because I don't want them to all look the same and flat. And I'm just using a normal mercerised thread of approximately the right colour just to stitch the little seed beads down in the centre of this flower. I've finished my flower head now. I'm just going to work on the stalk and the leaves. I've got some 7mm pure silk white embroidery ribbon, and I'm just twisting it to form a cylindrical thread and passing it back through my work. So that'll be my main stalk. And I'm going to do a couple of other stitches as well to form the central vein for the leaves, or the central stem for the leaves to come off. So twist the ribbon again if you need to, just to give you a nice tight cylinder. And I'm going to do 1 stitch to the left as well. So I'm ready to do the little leafy bits now, and because the ribbon has been twisted, I'm just going to straighten it out and make it nice and smooth and glossy again with the hair straighteners. And straight out from the tip of that stalk, I'm going to do a ribbon stitch. So I'm passing the ribbon back down through the centre of itself and pulling very, very slowly until the edges, the ends of the ribbon curl in on themselves. So pop the ribbon back down through the centre of itself and pull very slowly until the leaf curls into a point. You want to make sure you don't tug too hard when you bring your next leaf up through your fabric. So I'm just going to continue working down now with these little leaves opposite each other on the stem. And so ribbon stitches all the way for these little leaves, and these little leaves on a marigold flower, they're all roughly the same size anyway, so I'm doing them all exactly the same. Ribbon stitches are very quick. So I'm just going to continue to do the rest of the leaves in that fashion. So here I am now, and I'm just using a plain white cotton thread to couch down the stalks on this flower, so that these stalks are actually attached firmly to the fabric. So there, those stalks are all nicely couched down now, and I've got a couple of greens here. Again, using the permanent marker pens. You can use silk dye if you wish to. And I'm putting the light green at the base of the leaves and on the stalk. And I'm now going to use the darker green just to touch the ends of these leaves and allow these greens to blend together to give a beautiful coloured result. I'm going to just touch the stem in a couple of places with this darker green as well, just to give a bit of variation. So I'm going to do the others. You need to make sure, obviously, you don't touch anything with this pen that you don't want to take up dye, so be careful around your petals. And just allow the silk to do the work for you. So again, I've put the light green in the centre stem and at the base of the leaves, and I'm using the dark green towards the tips. And this is our marigold flower nearly finished. All of the ribbons I've used in this demonstration are available to buy from craftyattic.com. Please come along and visit the website. On our tutorial pages we have lots and lots of different flowers and lots of projects for you to have a go at. I hope you've enjoyed watching this film. Thank you for watching.